At Yalta, in 1945, Stalin agreed to a division of spheres in Europe and pledged no interference in Italy or France, where the two communist parties had been transformed into mass parties thanks to the resistance they had led and the stunning military triumphs of the Red Army. The full meaning of the Yalta Agreement has often been obscured, with Western ideologues regularly describing it as a necessary concession to Stalin. This is misleading. Yalta was always a double edged sword. Not only did it license the Soviet control of Eastern Europe, it also approved a strong and hegemonic US presence in Western Europe, a presence essential to the establishment of NATO, and a hegemony reinforced by what appear to be permanent US military bases in Germany, Italy, and Britain, further strengthened by the growth of nuclear weapons systems and their implantation in Western Europe. Stalin agreed that Franco's Spain, Salazar's Portugal, Greece, and Turkey should be a Western preserve and that Germany would be under a four power occupation. He reluctantly agreed to France being one of these powers, since the Vichy regime had to all effects and purposes been part of the Axis network. It was also agreed that France would be a member of the United Nations Security Council. An unnecessary concession, some thought, but Churchill was determined to have at least two decaying European empires seated at the top table. It did not succeed in its real aim, which was the integration of Gaullist France in Anglo American projects for the future. That came later. As far as Greece and Yugoslavia were concerned, the piece of paper suggested Greece be part of the Western sphere and Yugoslavia a zone shared 50-50 by the US, Britain, and the Soviet Union. It was a badly conceived plan, but not the only one. At Yalta, Roosevelt and Churchill also discussed the conditions under which the Soviet Union might enter the war against Japan. All three leaders agreed that, in return for Soviet participation in the Pacific Theater, Russia would be granted a sphere of influence in Manchuria after Japan's surrender.